What's up, everybody? Brett here, and I'm back today playing some more Darkest Dungeon. Guys, the response from y'all has been excellent. I want to say thank you so much. A lot of you that were watching my Battle Brothers series decided to come over and watch this Darkest Dungeon run, and I appreciate that a lot. For those of you who are new to the channel, seeing this for the first time, welcome. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I've got a huge list that is only getting bigger of people who want to have named characters, and there is room left. So if you want a named character, just subscribe and I will hook you up with someone. And that's something we're going to take care of at the start before we get into any particular dungeon run today. I wanted to start at this point because this is a pretty important message, a maddening whine. I went over it yesterday, but basically it says that the courtyard is going to be a thing now. The courtyard sends out these kind of blood-sucking creatures that appear in all of our runs randomly, and they can infect us with the blood curse, or I forget exactly how they name it in this game. But it's something that's both a positive and a negative, and a drain on our resources. So it's important to know when that happens and how to avoid it if possible. We've got some character management to take care of right off the bat. Stefan needs to go for some sort of relief. Maybe he can go to the bar. It's 1,000 gold, but we've got to do it. We've got to get rid of his stress. And the tavern, we could probably upgrade it. Yeah, let's just get slightly better.
A game of chance.
Stress relief.
Companionship. The rush of life.
And that'll be 1,000 gold. And hopefully that will remove his fearful trait, his affliction, and bring his stress down to a manageable level. If we upgrade it again, it reduces treatment cost. Might not be worth that right now. Who else needs it? Our antiquarian could probably use some stress relief. She picked up a trait in the last one where she won't use the transept or the penance hall. So that's something that we need to keep in mind whenever we try and take care of people. I don't remember if these guys naturally lost some stress. I feel like they did. I think Reynold was slightly higher on the stress than he is right now. I would actually have to go back and look at the end of the last episode. No, that doesn't make sense. I don't think we used him in the last battle. We used Garen instead. But while I'm thinking about it, guys, let's go ahead and rename some characters. I don't know about y'all. I'm hyped for this run. I know I'm a little bit rusty right now, and I want y'all to forgive me. Nice. We pick up a Houndmaster, Stukely. Really cool character.
A lawman and his faithful beast. A bond forged by battle and bloodshed.
Very cool. He uses a dog in combat. He has an awesome stress relief ability and self-heals. He has a stun. He has great ranged attack. He causes bleed. He's one of my favorite characters in the game, certainly. And then we also have here a Grave Robber, very strong character.
To those with a keen eye, gold gleams like a dagger's point.
Very cool. So she uses like dagger tosses. She has some decent poison abilities, poison darts here. She's kind of a difficult character to make work because a lot of what she does revolves around moving. Here she has a lunge that moves her forward twice. And then I think is it thrown dagger? I thought there was something in here that moved her back. Yes, it's shadow fade. So she can move back and forth using lunge and shadow fade. And in that way she kind of like buffs herself, goes into stealth, jumps forward, does extra damage to targets that she blights. She's a very synergistic type of character and super cool as well. But we have some characters to name. First off, I wanted to rename Reynold. Okay, and this is going to be, he is going to be changed, let's erase that, to Xenophon. And that's for Eamon. Eamon, I appreciate you, man. Let's confirm. We got to get rid of your kleptomaniac, though. That's got to go. All right, and this is the next one. Really awesome name suggestion here for Nurgle. Very fitting for all of the pox and disease. For those of you not familiar with like 40k or Warhammer in general, Nurgle's kind of like the chaos god of death and life and disease and decay and things like that. And I thought that was a pretty fitting name. And that is for Carol. So thank you, Carol, for the name suggestion. Let's lock that in. Who else do we have that we can name? Garen, someone I was going to rename. And this is going to be for Josh. Thank you so much, Josh. Your character is going to be Tiberius. One of the name suggestions you threw out, I thought it was pretty fitting with a man-at-arms character. Tiberius, our man-at-arms. So who else? We have another name. Oz wants a Crusader. We're going to get another Crusader for sure. So we're going to hold off on that one. We don't have a Leper or a Flagellant for Count Behemoth yet. And we don't have a Bounty Hunter for Jake Abbott. And we don't have... I wanted to name someone Skibo. And I think this is going to be our Skibo right here. So, Skibo, you didn't exactly ask me to name someone after you, but I feel like my playthroughs have to have a Skibo now. And this is you, man. Very cool character. He's got Tippler, which is not terrible at all. He's obsessed with Sainthood, which isn't great. Clotter makes him resistant to bleed. That's pretty cool. And he'd be useful in the Warrens because he has a plus 10% chance to scout. And then Morisco has Steady, minus 10% stress. That's definitely one of the best quirks you can lock in. But fading is awful. Minus speed, minus dodge. Her whole thing is dodge and speed. So with those lessened, that's going to be some stuff we're going to have to get rid of at some point. Let's see. Awesome. So at the end of the last episode, we were able to unlock the blacksmith and the guild. Let's visit the blacksmith first.
The bellows blast once again. The forge stands ready to make weapons of war.
Awesome. Thank you, Wayne June. You are literally the best. So, alright, we only have 8 deeds right now, so we can upgrade the armor smith or the weaponsmith. Here, of course, we cannot unlock anything because we don't have either of these unlocked to get level 2. I generally value, in the early game, I value armor more, survivability. We just need to get our people through the dungeon. And you see here, we can actually look at the benefits of the armor right here. So dodge base 5, HP base 33, and damage base, crit base, speed base is what affects the weapons. I like to upgrade them evenly, but in the very early game, I would value armor smithing. But as we get towards the middle, late game, if I have to choose, I would definitely choose weapon smithing. We're going to want to be very accurate when we hit people. Missing repeatedly is terrible. Also, going first is pretty important, so you want to have a high speed base. Going first and striking first is honestly just another form of defense, right? The best defense is a good offense type of thing. So, yeah. But for right now, I would like to get the armor smithing level 1. That's going to give us 7 more HP and 5 more dodge on our boy. So Xenophon, you're good to go. I'm probably bringing him in the next battle, which is why I'm upgrading this right now. And we'll probably be bringing our Vestal as well. So she'll get an extra 5 HP and up from 0 dodge. So that's nice. Ski, you have to be level 1 to get these upgrades. We're going to be very stingy early on with what we buy. And that's going to have to do with the districts. So this is something, a general strategy I wanted to talk about. And hopefully I'm not boring you guys already. Because we will get into the battle in just a moment. There is one of the first buildings in the districts section that you can unlock is the bank. And the bank gives you 5% interest every week. So after every adventure you go on, you get 5% interest on the amount of money you currently have. And in my playthroughs, I've been able to snowball my money by being kind of stingy in the early game. And then by the late game, by the time I get to the darkest dungeon, I've got, $1.5 million gold, and I couldn't spend it all even if I want to. And I'm able to build every district and and to do lots of different things that you normally can't do. I can spend, $100 grand a week on the sanitarium to make sure that everyone has their traits, positive traits or quirks are locked in, and negative quirks are removed. So that kind of advantage is amazing, and that's something we're going to push towards, saving our gold as best we can, selling off junky items, and not upgrading people that don't need to be upgraded immediately. So that's kind of my general strat.
Make no mistake, we will face ever greater threats. Our soldiers must be ready.
And this is the guild, y'all. So for those of you who haven't seen the guild before, this is going to upgrade our skills. So allows skills upgrades to rank 2 and reduces the cost of skill training by 10%. I would like to get both of these. I think I can afford them both as well.
Every creature has a weakness. The wise hero trains for what he will face.
Nice. And you can see we're using all of our heirlooms right now.
A strict regimen is paramount if one is to master the brutal arithmetic of combat.
You damn right, Wayne. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to use our heirlooms. We're not going to hold on to them. The big thing is to stack gold, and if that means we have to reduce the cost of our training regimens and things like that early on, we certainly will. Crests are kind of like the backbone heirloom. Almost everything you want to do requires one of these, 3 here, and crests. So, yeah, so we want to pick up crests whenever we can in the early game. In the late game, crests fall off in value because you find yourself needing more of these other types. And is this still locked? It is. So no camping skills for us. But what we can do right now, for instance, let's go ahead and drag Xenophon in here. We can pay to unlock some of these other abilities. Like I love Inspiring Cry. It reduces his stress. Or anyone. Does it reduce anyone's stress? I think it's just his. But it also gives us Torchlight. It works really well in conjunction with a character like Skibo, who came with... Man, he doesn't have his heal and he doesn't have Cry Havoc. Dang. He's got his attacks though, which is good. He's got his dodge and his stun. We're not going to unlock all of these things quite yet. She has her pick and Thrown Dagger, and I would say these two are probably her most important general abilities. Not bad. So we're not going to upgrade anything right now, but we can just check real quick to see what the kind of damage increase is. So it's mostly just an increase in base accuracy, which is of course important. We want to hit what we swing at. This also gives us a plus 1% chance to crit and an extra 5% damage versus Unholy. I see now that I don't have to go back and forth. It actually shows the previous iteration. But very cool. I would love to get Inspiring Cry, but like I said, we're going to save money where it makes sense. I may want to consider putting the Antiquarian in here, but that's a little bit more expensive. I think if she goes here, it's 1,000. So let's get her healed up. And we're going to use her a lot in the early game to try and stack money while it's still easy. And just like that, maybe... Did I upgrade the Vestal? If there's someone that we're going to want to spend the gold to upgrade, it's going to be the Vestal. I may also want to unlock this as well. And this. These are her 2 most important abilities for the way that I play her. This is going to increase the strength of her heal. It's only 225. But this is super important. We're going to have to remap her skills. And I guess this is a good place for me to stop and show you guys that before we get into the action. So heroes can only have 4 active combat skills at a time. And we can change which ones they are. But this is a single target heal for more healing. And this is a party heal. And there are plenty of times in our last run where I would have loved to have a party heal. And this one is a ranged attack that doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's pretty accurate, and it also heals her. So we're going to unlock that. And it's tempting to increase this as well, but it's just not necessary. So we're going to probably bring her in our current run. Check our items. It's nice to have a lock of patience on an early abomination. When they transform, you can often force them to have virtue instead of afflictions. We're going to sell this. I just don't even want to look at it. Alright, let's go ahead and embark. So the courtyard is now open. I think you actually need an invitation to go. Maybe not at the very beginning. But look, you get some of these unique items. So you see this kind of golden border? This is a character-specific item. The Plague Doctor only. And they are very powerful items that you can really only find in the courtyard. And it's also, I mean, you can get rich going in there. But we have no means right now currently of producing blood, which is a resource that we're going to need in great supply at some point. So let's check out this guy. He wants to be in the 2nd slot. So let's bring Skibo there, and let's try also and level Morisco. She wants to be in the 2nd slot as well. But that's okay. I don't really care. We'll just use Thrown Dagger and Poison Darts. That's probably her two most effective abilities in the early game anyway, until we can unlock all of her skills and upgrade them. And she'll be amazing in builds where we move around a lot. We shuffle our party around. We haven't even unlocked some of the characters yet that are very good at doing that. So we could go into the Weald. That's a pretty crappy item. It's nice to have the increased speed on a Flagellant, but by the time we get a Flagellant, we'll probably have better items to use on them. It's just cool to go into a different place today. I was thinking of going into... This is also a great Abomination trinket. I was thinking of going into a medium-sized dungeon, but maybe we go into a smaller one for today. There's no shame in doing the smaller dungeons at first, and we work our way up to the medium-sized. Our characters were still running level 0s. If everyone was level 1 or almost level 2, we'd be doing medium-sized dungeons for sure. So for me, it's just between one of these, and this is definitely the easier one to do. And then I think we'll probably, if it doesn't change, we'll come and do this one in the Weald and fight some different enemies. So let's provision. And you'll see here the Houndmaster comes with a unique item, and it increases the Hound's vigor for a short time. I think it gives him damage and speed. I'm not 100% on that. We're going to take a full stack of torches and food, 2 keys, 2 shovels, and then just 1 of everything else. And that's my standard loadout. And on the whole, it protects me from really bad things happening. Sometimes I feel like I waste a few, maybe 100 or 2 gold, but I'll always regret not having a skeleton key at the right moment. Ooh, and before we go, I did want to switch our loadout. So this was pretty important as well. Let me see, would it be beneficial for her to be in the 3rd slot? It would. She'd be able to use Pick to the Face. So let's switch them up. We actually have to back up, I think, to do that. Let's do this. Composition Equilibre. That's pretty cool. Man, do we want to use Tiberius again, or do we want to use Xenophon? I think we'll save Xenophon, simply because I want to keep an eye on his stress. I know there's 2 stress here. That's about 20 or so. And maybe when we come back, we'll experiment and see whether or not stress gets reduced naturally over time. That's just something I just don't remember. But I love that this build has a name. We'll provision again. I'll do this real quick. Extra, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, stack, stack. And let's embark. Should be very easy. Alright, let's get in there.
Pace out the halls of your lineage once familiar, now foreign.
Wayne June, you are literally the best. And we get a big scout right off the bat. That's great. So because we have to explore 90% of rooms, I mean, this is a huge scout. We're going to have to go down both hallways. So we're going to go like this way here, make a loop, come back, and then we're always going to try and find the most efficient route to do something. We could go this way, down, and then come back and make the loop. That might also be, I mean, it's pretty equally efficient. I don't think it really matters much. But we have curio interactions here. And we can see there's going to be a battle ahead. We've got a little bit of stress on the party. It might have been a good idea to unlock the stress relief ability on our Houndmaster. And we were able to surprise them. That's great. So a pick should kill one of these things. Let's see what a Thrown Dagger does. Yeah, that's a bit more of a guaranteed kill. The accuracy on these maggots is pretty high. Oh my god, we didn't get the kill. Well, we'll use this ability here. That'll kill him and give us some torchlight.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Come on, let's get that kill. And a dodge. Rough. Alright, and it should be bleeding, so this thing is as good as dead. We didn't want the poison. I think the maggots apply stress. Oh no, it gave us a disease. and stunned us.
The slow death.
I don't even remember the last time a maggot hit me, aside from this last episode. So we're gonna have to see what that disease
Another
is.
abomination cleansed from
But I think a
our
plague
lands.
doctor can remove it for free. So we may not pay to have it removed. I thought there was a way to see what it was. Spasm of the entrails. Minus 20% healing skills while camping. So we haven't gone on a longer run yet. So the whole camping thing isn't relevant at the
If
moment.
only treasure could staunch the flow of
Good amount of treasure
otherworldly
and
corruption.
another journal. So this is 3 of 4. So it's a different series than the series we read yesterday. But it says, Weald, dear friend, exemplary warrior, a survivor of the king's wars and many sorties in these halls, met an ignoble end. We were wary, Weald, and I, as we searched the sanctuary. As for we searched the sanctuary, very weird wording there. Weariness, it appears, has a murderous streak. It blinded him to the mechanism that tripped the spikes which eviscerated him. I held him as his essence slipped away, another giant fallen in our mad pursuit. I am alone now, wary, but unbowed. I press on. I think this might be one of the stories. Each one of these stories corresponds to one of the particular hero types, and I think that might be the man-at-arms. I don't remember 100%, but as we pick up more of them, it'll become more and more obvious. Keep the torchlight high. So books, guys. As I said in the last episode, honestly, like, screw books. The last thing you want to do is ever burn these things. If you burn books, like use torches on them, you will go to like 100% stress instantly. So there's a chance that nothing will happen here. There's a chance for a positive quirk. There's all sorts of things that happen. It's basically the odds are not in your favor for books. You either get a positive perk, a negative perk, or you like lose torchlight reading. So I avoid books. You're welcome to do whatever you want in your playthroughs for sure. That's my 2 cents. Avoid books. I don't even look at them. Okay, this one's interesting though. This is it's kind of like a confessional, right? If you're Catholic for sure. It reduces stress if you use holy water. Otherwise, I think if you don't use holy water, you have a chance to get like some gold and stuff, or to reduce stress. It does a bunch of different stuff. Actually, I don't think it reduces stress if you don't use an item. Let's bring Halacrae to the confession booth. If we use holy water, we'll reduce her stress, which we definitely want to do. I don't remember how much, but there's a chance to get gold. There's a chance to have an extreme amount of stress applied to you, or to remove a negative quirk. And I think we're just going to stick with the tried and true holy water. And using it there will make it so that I don't have to try and remember that every time now. It'll show us what happens if we try to use holy water when we hover over it. And here we go, first fight. And we get surprised? Are you serious? Wow, the odds of that had to be like astronomically low. Well, so this is a buff that will move us back 2, but that moves our Vestal to the front, so we don't really want to do that. And her pick actually does decent damage. So this isn't really that big of a deal. We can't cause bleeding on skeletons, so he's a little bit less useful in the ruins, just to note in the future. If we could stun him, he won't be able to attack, was my thinking. Yeah, let's bolster our team. Give him a nice big buff, lessen the stress. And he's super fast. Nice. He's far enough in the front that he can't use his stress attacks. Hopefully we'll get to kill this guy before he can attack again.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Ooh, decent dodge, but we still get the torchlight, which is cool. So this buffs the entire team as well. Man, I love the men-at-arms. These are huge buffs. So 14 stress on us. And I would highly recommend normally prioritizing killing the anyone that applies stress to your team, stress is almost always more deadly than actual
Their
HP.
formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
So let's reshuffle our party. And if it had been an emergency, if our composition couldn't handle being out of order like that, we could have used a turn instead of attacking to move back and forth. But this party is actually pretty resilient to being pushed around like that. And also I want to note, I think the optimal path was definitely to go this way like this. Instead, we're going to have to backtrack a good bit. But it's just to show you how important, planning out your route is. And luckily we dodged that trap. Very good. We don't know what's in here, so we'll make sure we use the torchlight so we don't get ambushed again. And now we're going to walk back with confidence. We're probably going to explore this entire place because we're not really in any kind of danger. And that's a good way to... You want to make money while you're doing this. Every week that goes by is just gone. So make money while you're already in a dungeon. Stay for as long as you can. Get as much gold as you can. Even after you've already completed your mission. This room has treasure in it. Alright, so another one of these alchemy tables. So we saw last time, you see here it has this little gold symbol. It tells us that if we use the medicinal herbs here, we will receive some kind of financial benefit. I think I mentioned in the last episode too that if we use a torch here, it maxes out our torchlight for us. And I think those are the only two interactions. If we touch this thing without using an item, the odds are either nothing will happen or we'll get blighted. I think you still have a chance to get something like monetary rewards.
Reward
That's terrible.
for a task well performed.
I don't think I've ever seen the game only give me 25 gold ever. That's rough. Or 75 gold, rather. That's awful. But we do have a key for this chest, and we surprised them, which is what I would have expected previously. Let's go for the courtier.
Another one falls.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love what they say after they get crits. They just act like total badasses. We can go for a stun here. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but if we land the stun, we're going to prevent his entire turn. And let's buff ourselves. I almost feel like the buffs are probably slightly more valuable than his actual attacks. Nice double stun. We'll get that free torchlight. Really sweet thing that you can do, you can bring the Vestal and the Crusader in a single build and use their heal, stress relief, torchlight abilities, and you almost don't even need torches with how much light they can actually generate. Alright, and that increased her accuracy and dodge. So these dudes are all going to be very resistant to stun now.
Give them no quarter.
And a cool thing about the Man-at-Arms as opposed to other melee-focused characters is that he can... Let's actually use Judgment. Get a little bit of self-heal. Is that he can reach guys in the third row with his main attack, which dudes like Crusaders and stuff often can't do. That was a pretty big hit. Nice. The dodge really coming in handy, I think.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
And they are very susceptible to blight. That's something that's important to remember. A lot of the bosses in the ruins, the Grave Robber is one of the best characters to fight them with. You know what, we'll do this again. We'll get a nice heal on the Vestal. Put her back up to full health. But yeah, some of the easiest boss wins you can get in the ruins are just stacking huge amounts of blight. Using the Grave Robber and the Plague Doctor in conjunction makes the fights almost trivial. So I was hoping that wouldn't kill him. That way we could get another heal off on the Houndmaster, but that's okay. And the game actually gives us a key.
Can be felled. They can be beaten.
So free key.
Glittering gold,
All right.
trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood.
So here we go, guys, the blood. It's a special type of supply item. Any collected bottles of the blood will be retained in your estate at quest end. They may be added to the provisions of embarking parties. The blood is rare. Spread it around wisely among those in need. So this is kind of like a medicine that we can give. Sometimes it acts as a steroid as well. Think about, like, you know, if you ever watch Blade, kind of like vampire rules. They're always stronger after they drink blood. And that's basically what happens when we get infected by these characters. We almost become these mindless vampires that kind of either get really stronger as we feed them extra blood, or weaker as they starve from blood. So this is the first time we picked it up. It is rare. We'll collect as much as we can until we can build the unique item in the district that gives us, I think it's called the Vintners, something like that, but it gives us blood. 2 blood a week, which is usually enough to kind of
Finding the stuff is
help
only the first test. Now it must be carried
make
home.
sure that the characters in our roster aren't all being like heavily affected by the blood. Okay, that kind of sucked. Let's use Hound's Harry. That should kill him and put a little bit of damage on everyone else. Five damage, not great. Let's get the heal. Try and get the kill there, and we whiff. Normally it's definitely better to prioritize killing the Arbalists, but our characters do so little damage right now that I'm just going to get rid of the DPS where I can. And if I can stun these guys before they get a chance to attack, that would be great. The only thing in this game is you can't see the turn order. You can only really guess at it. And here we're going to get the kill, heal ourselves. And a little bit of stress relief. Very cool. And we'll do it again. Nice. That's a good amount of gold.
Be wary.
And busts.
Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Yeah. Hope is the first step on the road to disappointment, guys. If 40k taught me anything, that is what I know. Alright, we're going to prioritize the lady in the back. So something that I kind of pointed out in the last episode that is very important to notice is their creature types. So these are all human. Humans can bleed, right? So a Hound Master is actually pretty effective versus these units. If they had an entire 4-man stack, I probably would have used Hound's Harry to try and apply, you know, 4 bleed. I think that's a lot of damage over the course of a long battle. This is 2 stack, only 1 damage per. That kind of sucks. You know what? Let's actually do Retribution. If we had hit her, that would have gotten the kill and marked us with Retribution. Instead, I think we're just going to go for the kill here. The bleed would have taken 2 turns. We don't want the stress. We can heal up damage. That's not a problem. Nice. Retribution getting its work done. Over the course of a long battle, Riposte is a pretty strong ability. Let's stun him before he's able to attack. We're running low on torches also, which isn't that big of a deal. And the mining pick is also armor piercing. There are going to be enemies that we fight in this game that are really heavily armored. And by armor, it really means protection. So certain characters have like a prot stat. So 0% here, you'll see. But later on, they'll have much higher stats in that regard. You'll see some characters who have as high as like 50, right? Man, I thought for sure we were going to kill him there. It's alright. Get that free torchlight. And we want these deeds for sure. So I almost never end up remembering to use the dog treats. So I'm just, and they're also not worth anything. So I'm just going to toss them. There's no boss in here that we need to worry about. And, oh no. Oh no. Well, that sucked because we could have used it to get rid of almost all of our man-at-arms stress. But apparently he has... Yeah, he's obsessed with sainthood. So anything that's kind of like a church theme to it, his hygiomania is going to force him to interact with it. It doesn't always happen. I don't know what the odds are specifically, but it's going to happen quite a bit. And there we go. That's the dungeon. We're going to scout it out. There are a few curios left, so we're going to continue adventuring on the off chance that those curios contain treasure. There are no more battles. We don't have to continue to pump the torchlight. That sucks. That could have been a free, 1,000 gold for us sitting in that crate. The only thing to consider is that our stress kind of gets higher the darker it gets. And another one of these. Nice. Very cool. So glad we ended up doing that. And now we come to a trap. So Houndmasters are pretty good at disabling traps, but Grave Robbers and Highwaymen I think are the best. So when she disarms that, that'll give her a pretty big stress relief. And there's only one more curio that I can see that I want to go and investigate. And that is for us to go back this way. We'll eat.
And now, the
see what happens in the dark.
Dominion. Black as death.
We're not interacting with any books. F books, guys.
The great ruins
as the great Bear
belong
Taffy
to
once
us,
said.
And we will find whatever secrets they hold.
So, not a huge payout, but we're definitely netting gold every time. But for a while, we're going to be spending a ton on upgrades, but we're going to be trying to keep that in check if we can. Alright, these guys all made it up to level 1. Warren's Tactician, that's pretty sweet. Backtracker, no stress penalty when walking backwards, that's a nice buff. And Necromania, fascinated with corpses. So there's certain places where she won't want to go, because there are corpses literally everywhere.
She has
paid
dearly for her freedom. And deserves better than this place.
Okay guys, so this is a new character. One of the DLC characters, or FLC characters. She is awesome. Think like if Princess Jasmine from Aladdin was like a total badass, that's who this is. Like if she got kidnapped and turned into a prostitute and it was like, nah, F that noise, I'd rather cut off my own hand and start murking people, that's who this character is. So let's bring her in. Really awesome event.
Shifting, swaying. She mesmerizes her prey before the final strike.
You see here she's missing a hand. That's kind of part of her backstory, which we can read if we ever find more of those journals. So, minus 20% armor upgrade cost, that's cool. She's not allowed to visit the brothel because she has deviant tastes and is not allowed to gamble. So, all told, these are pretty weak negative quirks. I'm not worried about those at all. Her whole deal is that she likes to move around. So, her pierce moves her forward, and so does her puncture. She has lots of different blight stuff, so this knocks her backwards. So she moves backwards, then forwards, and backwards and forwards. She can do a really awesome impale attack that hits everyone. It's really great once it's upgraded. And she can block damage. She has, I think it's Serpent Sway. It's just straight up blocks attacks. It's like very unique amongst things in this game. But you have to beware whenever you bring her on longer missions, because at night when you camp, she has these like recurring dreams, like these nightmares, these snakes that you have to fight, and it can add a whole nother level of difficulty to your runs. But an amazing pickup that I honestly wasn't expecting to get, and we've now unlocked the Sanatorium and the Survivalist. Awesome. But first things first, I always check the stagecoach. Nice, and we get our first Hellion. And we're going to want to pick up another Vestal as well. Always pick up Vestals. They are the best healers in the game for consistency.
Barbaric rage and unrelenting savagery make for a powerful ally.
Nice. So let's check her out. Stanley. Stanley, the female barbarian. Eagle Eye, pretty worthless. She doesn't really have range skills, and Backtracker's okay. 10% minus 10% damage if her HP drops, and her healing received is pretty low. These are really bad quirks and really weak positive quirks. But I love the Hellion. The Hellion is a great DPS character, frontliner. She doesn't have the best abilities unlocked. She has her hack. She has her double stun, which is pretty sweet. This helps move her forward if she ever gets moved backwards. And this is I actually forget what this is. It's a bleed. But she has this bleed, I think that's better. She has a heal that buffs her damage and accuracy and cures blight and bleed. This is one of those abilities I always keep on her. Plus Iron Swan lets her hit the back line for like a ton of damage. It has a really high crit chance. So you can often like one-shot those aggravating stress dealers right off the bat. But they're just not as tanky as your standard, frontline Crusader. But in especially the Crimson Courtyard, where everything bleeds, she has tons of bleeding attacks, and bleed attacks are exponentially more expected. Not expected. They're exponentially more effective against them. She becomes an excellent character. So does the Houndmaster. I think the Houndmaster and the Hellion are two of the best characters in the Courtyard. So, okay, so finally we unlocked the Sanitarium. It's most often used to remove negative quirks and treat diseases, but you can also use it to reinforce a positive quirk, which will lock it into place and prevent new positive quirks from displacing it. You can lock a maximum of 3 positive quirks per heroes. So we can come in here, and this will remove quirks, and this will remove diseases. So this is 750. I honestly don't care about this disease at this point in the game, but you can see here, Infirm being locked in on her is awful. She has some really awful stuff right off the bat. Man, that's rough. So I don't think we want to make any use of the Sanitarium quite yet. But when we're rolling in money, that's something that we're going to look into for a while. And we can see here, we can reduce the cost of treatment. And that's really all this is. And this opens up more slots so we can treat more people at the same time. We're going to ignore that for now.
At home in wild places, she is a stalwart survivor and a strict instructor.
So this is a survivalist. She teaches us camping skills. So reduce the cost of training at the bonfire. But let's say we drag a hero here, right? These are all of the available camping skills that we can use on a longer dungeon run. Just to give you a quick idea, the one we already have here, one companion, it can help release stress. Prey is kind of the same thing, also can give us extra protection for battles. Stress, she also has heals, all kinds of stuff. Every character has different things, and they come pre-unlocked with 3 things. And for the moment, I don't think we're going to worry too much about spending any gold or any heirlooms in here. The ones that I'm going to prioritize, guys, is definitely going to be the guild and blacksmith. And the stagecoach up to a point, especially once we start filling out our roster completely. We might as well check the heirloom, see what they have at the wagon. Interesting. So it's a buff as long as we keep Torchlight high. This is just straight up 15% max HP. The downside, death blow resist. Unless we're really already losing, it doesn't really matter. Death blow is like your characters go to 0 health and they don't really die, but any hit after that has a chance to instantly kill them. So death blow is a way, some characters actually, like the Flagellant, their whole playstyle revolves around being constantly at that kind of, that negative point. So, okay. So, yeah. So, Xenophon did lose stress passively. So that's great. And Stefan lost about 60, if not more. I think he was actually beyond the 100 mark. So he lost quite a bit of stress, but he's still kind of stressed out. So we may not bring him on the next run. What we can do is look at where we're going and plan it out. We can just take everyone out of the party. We can go to the Cove. This is a decent men-at-arms item, the Sly eye patch. That'll give us some new enemies to fight. This is a Hellion. Plus 15% bleed chance. It's a good item to have on her when we go into the courtyard. There's also the Warrens. Nice, just a pure buff, plus 50% stun. And we've unlocked our first boss battle if we want it, the Necromancer's Apprentice, which will give us a flagellant item that's not very good, generally. You can make blows. This is exactly what I was talking about, death blow resist. So, plus 20 dodge at death's door. It's basically a strategy that revolves around putting him at death's door, where he is like one hit away from death, and making it so that he's got like these huge buffs while that's going on. All Saints Day. It would trigger this event if we do this. Gather 3 holy relics. I actually don't remember what All Saints Day is as a town event. And I don't know if it says. Yeah, there's no way to click on it and see. But that's pretty cool. So that's tempting by itself. That would be our first medium length dungeon. I kind of wanted to go to the Cove or the Weald or something today. But it's very tempting to go into this longer dungeon. And get this positive town event. I think we're going to do that. It's another run in the ruins, but these bigger runs give bigger rewards. We could go and do this. You know what? Let's do the Weald. Let's see something different. For those of you out there who've never seen any of these other areas, all of this is going to be, you know, very familiar to you by the end of our playthrough for sure. But for right now, let's try and do some different stuff. And I kind of want to bring Skibo in, but if we're going to bring Skibo over, you know, someone like Morisco, we could even bring our Antiquarian again. In the Weald, I think things are pretty resistant to poison, or to blight, but they're not so resistant versus bleed. This might be a good opportunity for us to make some coin. Just curious whether or not there's any configuration of it that gives us a name. Plus 10% damage, minus dodge. Okay, so if this is going to be our party, let's check out and see if there is any type of upgrades that we can get to kind of make us a little bit more efficient. And you can see this kind of seal here that shows us who's in the party, so we don't have to guess. She's still level 0, she's still level 0, so there are no upgrades for her. And of course she is level 0. So we can also go into here and make sure that we have the skills unlocked that we want to have unlocked. We want to equip this because it'll allow us... These two work well together because they move each other around. But I think I want to have this Adrenaline Rush. Let's unlock that. And this is not the bleed I want. I want this bleed here. But I think I'll save that. I think we're good enough with Wicked Hack in an early run like this. There's no reason to try and like overly min-max things. But we're going to want our standard, these 4 abilities. The Antiquarian. Yeah, she needs her Nervous Stab. She was pretty useless in some of the last battles. So this gives her better Blight, but like I said, I think Blight's going to be a lot worse here. And this lets her move. I think that's probably fine. And as far as the Shield Breaker goes, Impale is one of her best abilities. We want to unlock that. Bypass is stealth. It's not going to be important in this run. Neither is Captivate. Serpent Sway is cool. Adder's Kiss moves her back, moves her forward. Okay, she's got a lot of her abilities. There we go. Alright, I think I know what I want to do. So let's go into the Shield Breaker. We want Impale. Let's get Impale. That moves her back. Then either Puncture or Pierce moves her forward. This bypasses Guard. I don't think anyone's going to be guarding, so let's just do that. That way at least we have the option to blight if we find an enemy that can be blighted easily. And then here we can remove that and get Adrenaline Rush for a bit of self-heal. And then here we'll take that off. As long as we're using her in the back line, we'll use her backline abilities. But as I mentioned, there is a really sweet, especially ruins-based versus unholy frontline Vestal build that you can make. That's pretty awesome. And one of these we wanted to get rid of. Man, I like having that extra. We'll get rid of the blight, and we'll just go for the clumsy stab, which surprisingly does a lot of damage. It's kind of a misnomer. And yeah, let's go into the Weald. Everyone I think is how we want them. We'll provision. Once again, no shame in over provisioning. I don't remember off the top of my head which of these items is better in the Weald. Certain dungeons, certain items are better, right? In the last one, in the ruins, you want holy water more than just about anything else. In the Weald, I think it's medicinal herbs. And I think in the Warrens, anti-venom is more important. Or bandages. It's really hard to remember. But I think I've got one of everything. I've got my keys. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So into the Weald.
Corruption has soaked the soil, sapping all good life from these groves. Let us burn out this evil.
Alright, so we have to complete 100% of room battles. Well, I see 3 battles ahead, or 2 rather. There's no battle here, but it looks like this is going to be a very linear run. And unlike last time, because of my rustiness, I was using my antiquarian in a run, but not using her to search things, which is a mistake. Look at that. That's a free 1,250 gold. Also, a benefit that I think she has, if I remember correctly, is that she allows gold in your inventory to stack higher. I think it's like, instead of 1,750, it's more than that. It's like 2,500 or something. So she can allow you to stack a lot higher gold. Get a stun there because we probably couldn't get the kill. How much damage would that do? Probably not enough to kill. Let's just go for the easy kill here.
Executed with impunity.
Although we probably could have used Impale. Let's just pierce.
Another one falls.
Love her model. Good dodge.
Confidence
Nice.
surges
I figured
as the
we'd have
enemy
just
crumbles.
enough DPS to get that done.
Be gone, fiend.
Wicked hack. Gotta love it. And because of the antiquarian, just because we have her in our party, we've already made an extra 1,750 gold. So that's huge. Just make sure we always click on her at the end of every battle. That way she's the one that interacts. Oh, and a tent. Okay. Trying to remember what the tent does. I don't think there's anything you can use to interact with the tent. You just have to search it. Let's buff our dodge. We'll stun the cutthroat. Didn't do any damage. That's so weird. Let's impale. We've already got a stun going there, so let's just do some big damage. We have less dodge. Damn, we didn't dodge anything there. And 3 bleeds. Feels pretty bad. The only person who didn't bleed is the only person who can get rid of a bleed. So that's kind of unlucky. Let's buff our dodge again.
A time to perform beyond one's limits.
And they crit us. Okay. Let's go for the stun. This is awkward because he's taking up 2 spaces.
Compassion is a rarity in the fever.
The lowest possible roll.
Battle.
Okay, and now we're going to move forward 1. Now we can move forward 1 and use sway, which blocks damage, or we can just try and go for a kill. Hey RNG, need you to chill.
Ringing ears, blurred vision. The end approaches.
We might have to use a bandage here. She's got 15 damage worth of bleed on her. And our dodge is just like not mattering at all. Nice. Okay, we needed that. Absolutely had to have that. Try and put some heals. I was hoping for better rolls than that. It's probably just more effective at this point. To just use the single target heal. That hurt. That hurt a lot. Trying to get this kill before he gets a chance to go. The shield breaker is so low on life. 0 damage. And we resisted the bleed this time. Okay. It didn't do any real extra healing, but at least it gave us the stress relief.
A victory.
That was rough.
Perhaps
Everything that could go wrong there kind of went wrong. And the journal, we'll read it and then we'll kind of throw it away. The road to this, and this is the journal of Darius. So the road to this damn hamlet was a tricky one, both to find and to travel. When it revealed its ruined face, I swore I had never seen such neglect. Some buildings collapsed and uncaring residents fidgeting uselessly. I went swiftly to the tavern. Others with similar interests had gathered there, and I was assembled into an expedition. We leave at first light on the morrow. So we will dump this and pick up the emeralds, which are worth 750 apiece, and be happy to do that. And here we will search the tent with the antiquarian, and we find a map, which is not useless. So we have an obstacle here, which is why we have shovels. We also should probably consider healing just a bit. How much more damage is this? That's 6 damage. I'm actually going to use a bandage here as well. And that's just enough that I think it'll protect us going forward. Ooh, what do we have here? So this is like a hunk of meat. I think you can get food from these if I remember correctly. If you use medicinal herbs, I think is the only way to do that. I'm pretty glad no one's obsessed with it. And more food means free healing. So we're happy to see that. Alright, so that was just some free healing for us. And now we come across an eerie spider web. And I think you use bandages for these. So a spider web with a strange glow to it. There might be something behind it. I think the idea is like you wrap your hands in the bandages and you stick it inside the tree trunk and it protects you from being hurt. Check that out. A ruby, jade, and another rare antique. So we're getting rich, but I'm worried about the health of our dudes. Actually, we're an all-lady squad. Wow. That's pretty rare. And of course, we lost our torchlight as soon as we attacked, but luckily they were the ones surprised and not us. So let's get our dodge up. Hopefully it serves us better this time than the last. And we're just going to start healing right off the bat. And we're not going to use this unless we need to, because it does lower our damage. We can use a yacht though. Go for a double stun. Beautiful. But it did lower our damage. But it's hopefully going to save us a lot of damage over the course of this run. And missing there was really bad. And they lowered our torchlight. And if she's going to push someone, we want her to push her. Because she can always get back into position, no problem. See if we can get this kill. That would be very helpful. Oh. Okay, this is also kind of good that they went before her, because now we can yop again. We're really messing up her damage. But I think it's worth it to reduce them like that. But when we miss, it feels really bad. Let's go for an impale.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
This will heal her and give her a buff to kind of counteract the other buff that she's experiencing. Let's keep that dodge high.
Inspiration and improvement.
Good crit. The snake's neck is always exposed. That's what I'm talking about. All 2s feels really good. All 1s feels terrible. Nice, and we might be able to milk this battle a little bit for some heals. Nice, and a crit is going to give us stress relief. So very good. Everything's back on track.
The wounds
3s,
of war can
nice.
be healed.
But as I said in the last episode, we don't want
Never
to
hidden.
try that too much. We can go for a yacht here. Because eventually the game recognizes what you're doing, and it punishes you. So applying some blight here, he'll die next turn, so we know we can guarantee take this turn to heal ourselves.
The slow
And he went
death.
first.
Unforeseen. Unforgiving.
Good, amazing loot. Make sure we clicked on our antiquarian. And we have an obstacle here. It'll probably be something we can use a shovel on.
Nature herself. A
Nice.
victim to the spreading corruption.
Let's
Malformed.
keep looking
with
at the map.
misintent.
Alright, we have enough food we can eat. That'll also heal us just a bit. Really happy to pick up another medicinal herb, because there'll probably be more places in here that we can use. Oh god, we fight our first like fungus monsters. They're considered human and eldritch, but you see here they have protection, 33%, 15%, so piercing damage is really good against them. And the beast here, the rabid gnasher, has really high dodge and speed. So let's increase our dodge. Luckily we're faster. We may be able to kill this thing in one shot if we don't miss. It's nice to get rid of the dogs right off the bat. Looking at the damage. If we hit it, we kill it.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Very good. So now we just have to deal with the tons of blight that's going to be coming our way. I was hoping our dodge would protect us a bit, but not at all. 3 dodge really isn't that much. You have to use it almost every turn to get the true benefit. The chance to stun on these isn't bad, but we didn't do any damage. So curing blight. You can use anti-venom to do it. It's basically bleeding, just another form of bleeding. And we can stack resistances against it. she can actually heal it off of herself, so if it starts getting too bad, we'll do that. But we need to start killing these things at some point.
A faint hope blossoms.
Especially these ones, the fungal artilleries. Because what they do is they mark your characters, and they make the scratchers do more damage. They also can shuffle around. They have movement abilities. These are definitely the more dangerous units here. Oh, we can't reach. Okay. Well, we don't need to cure. Monsters with high prot. So it's basically just telling you exactly what I said. The best way to kill them is to apply status effects. So bleed would be really effective here, but we just don't have the Hellions bleed ability. I think I mentioned that before going in, that would be an effective strat, but it's not a big deal. And here, just go for the party heal.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
Counteract all the blight. Ooh, a crit. It's rough on our stress. And just heal whoever's lowest as a way to supplement the Vestal's healing. Does this do piercing damage? I don't think so. We could probably stun him. We just needed to not miss so many attacks, honestly. But just like in most RPGs, you kill the DPS, you leave the tank by himself, and the tanks generally aren't dangerous characters when they're alone. There we go. And Pierce does pierce. It does armor piercing damage, so she'll ignore the prot. Nice, good crit. Let's go for the stun.
The light, the
free
promise of
torchlight.
safety.
And yeah, just keep on healing. And we're not marked, so we're not taking bonus damage. And done. Another ruby, another rare antique.
Brought low
Amazing.
and driven into the mud.
Make sure we use the antiquarian here. Extra food is good. And you'll see our gold stacks up to 2,500. So we can get rid of something right now to start another stack of gold. I think we may just want to either dump the holy water or the anti-venom. And in this place, I think I would rather dump the holy water. And by dump it, I mean just use it, because it's going to increase our resistances. So let's just use it. It gives us bleed, blight, disease, and debuff resistance. Because we know we're going to get more gold here. Although I'm going to feel pretty aggravated if we get to a point where we could have used the holy water in a positive interaction. Alright, no battle. Nice. We've got to find every battle in this place. That's in a room anyway. But it's linear. Alright, and I see that that corpse on the bottom. I don't remember if it was our Vestal that's obsessed with corpses. And I think we used bandages for that. If we have any left in our inventory. We don't. Otherwise, I think it's kind of risky. But we're going to do it anyway. Let's go for dodge. And there's some synergies here that we're not making use of, and that's only because these battles are supposed to be very easy for us.
Another
And that's marking
cleansed
someone
from
like
our lands.
the shield breaker, and then using her sway to make her basically invulnerable. And we can mark her with the antiquarian, increase her protection, make her invulnerable, and then in theory everyone will attack her. And we'll mitigate a ton of damage that way. But that's a very slow way of playing these battles that we should just be able to win. Let's actually add this DPS. Alright, good miss. Would have pulled her to the front, and that would have been very aggravating. Okay, not quite dead. Let's yop. No attacks with them. We should just be able to get the kills now. It's guaranteed she's gone. Damn, and we critted with it. Okay, well, whatever. I was gonna try and get some free healing, but it's hard to complain.
Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
So we'll search the remains, mummified remains. Damn. And we picked up Blight. We'll actually use an anti-venom here. And luckily we have a lot of shovels. We brought 2 and we picked up 1, I think. But we could have got some gold there. That would have been nice. And if we had had bandages, I think that's the item you use to search that. Same way, same like idea behind the tree. And now we come across a shallow grave. I think we can use our last shovel on this, but I don't remember if that makes a bad or good thing happen. I want to say it's good though. It makes sense, right? You use the shovel to dig up the grave. Nice. And we get 4 crests, 2 emeralds, so that's another 1,500 gold, and then another one of these minor antiques. They stack so high. We're getting rich off of that. Nice, and we surprised them. So this is the first time we fought ectoplasm. These guys are super annoying when they're bigger and when you miss a lot. If you don't miss a lot, they're pretty easy to kill. They duplicate themselves, they merge into one big piece. They're really annoying. Think of like oozes from every other game. Nice. Would have been nice to get another round of healing off, but that's okay.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Okay, this is another thing that I barely remember, but I think we need holy water. If you have holy water, you get a positive quirk. Otherwise, I think you just leave it alone. We don't have any holy water. I think if we touch this thing, we'll just get like a negative quirk. So we'll walk past it. If you don't have the right item, you just shouldn't even interact. And I think holy water is the only thing you can use to interact with that. Otherwise, you just throw away the item. It sucks, because you get a positive quirk from that. Okay, so this should be free stress relief on someone. It's only 60%. We'll do it on the shield breaker because she has the least amount of stress. And she did it, 60%. Nice. And we've got another curio coming up. All right, so another lockbox. We can either use anti-venom here or a key. And we have keys and we have anti-venom. I don't remember what the logic is for using anti-venom. I think there's like a trap in here that you activate. And using the anti-venom like keeps it from poisoning you. But let's use the key. It's made for these, right? And we get another rare antique. This is why I love antiquarians, guys. We're gonna be rich when we leave this place. Okay, another room battle. That's what we're looking for. Let's see if we can quickly defeat them. So their big weaknesses, they have really high resistances towards everything. just naturally. How much damage does it do? 5 to 9. And Adder's Kiss does 5 to 10.
Well struck.
And we'll use the Antiquarian probably to heal yourself. Alright, that's not bad. And we should be able to go first. Alright, we needed that to hit, because I feel like what's going to happen is the slime is going to assimilate its buddy, and then we're going to have a tougher fight on our hands if we don't get this kill. Okay. As much as I want to show you guys the mechanics of the enemies, I don't want to get wrecked by them.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
We're going to continue adventuring, because there's probably going to be something else we can interact with. Okay. One more curio. Hopefully this is worth it. Disarming traps, got it. Let's try the Hellion. Nice. So free stress relief, and one more curio to interact with, and it's just a torch. But as we discovered, we can end up getting some,
Packs
extra
laden
500.
with loot are often low on supplies.
From that, and that's it. So quest complete.
Driving out corruption is an endless battle. But
So that was our
one
first
must
time in
be
the Weald,
fought.
which is just a fancy old-timing way of saying the Wild. But look at the gold. We basically doubled our gold from this one run, thanks to the Antiquarian. And we got good levels on everyone. Warrior of Light, awesome, because I do like to play with high light. Sickly is not good, but Lurker will probably never come into effect because we always want to keep our light pretty high. But it's nice to get everyone up to level 1, more reliable.
Awash in blood and delusion, he bears the burden of 1,000 lifetimes.
Awesome. We get our first flagellant, guys. There are some who believe that only a litany of blood and suffering can cleanse sickness in the land. Here is one who will do his part. So we'll take him for sure.
There is power in the blood for those with the fortitude to pay the price.
So Daredevil is an amazing quirk to have on a flagellant, because a lot of times they purposefully go below 25%. This is probably the best quirk I can imagine on a Daredevil. That's amazing. But Torn Rotator is almost equally bad, because everything he does almost is melee focused. You'll see it says melee underneath the name of the ability. So having minus 5% damage on all of his abilities is pretty crappy, but it could be worse. And we're going to rename him. Let me open up my notes real quick and see. I had someone. So yeah, this is going to be Behemoth. I got you, buddy. You are going to be our first flagellant. And maybe our only flagellant. Flagellants are also amazing inside of the courtyard. Very cool. And is there anyone else we can name? If there's anyone who didn't necessarily need to have any particular character. No, I think we're good. Alright, so we got a lot of things done today, man. Look at our gold. Our gold is stacked up pretty high. We're being kind of stingy with it, as I think we should be. Nice, and we're going to get our first leper as well. That's another person that I wanted to name. We're not able. We need to upgrade weaponsmithing real quick. Let's do some of this before we head out. This is pretty important. Oh, we can't upgrade our weaponsmithing yet. We could trade. We have 1,000,000 buffs right now. Trade for deeds. We need 4. Let's do it. And now we can upgrade our weaponsmithing.
Fan the flames, mold the metal. We are raising an army.
Cool. So what that's going to unlock for us in the stagecoach is one of the most important upgrades in the game, which is experienced recruits. So instead of getting all these level 1 or level 0 recruits, we'll start getting level 1. And that'll allow us to be a little bit choosier. So let's get this upgrade. And you'll see here we're 21% upgraded on our stagecoach. And we'll pick up this Fitzroy guy. This is a leper.
This man understands that adversity and existence are one and the same.
And our group is currently full, but lepers are one of the most powerful heroes in the game. They're frontliners. They have self-healing, self-stress relief, and one ability called Solemnity, which is just broken. They can self-buff themselves to just extraordinary amounts. They're one of the best units to bring into the farmstead because their ability to self-buff for an entire fight is amazing. They also have decent AoE in the front line as well as really powerful single target hits. Yeah, they're tanks, they're DPS, and they're completely self-sufficient. Healing, protection, resistances. I mean, they're one of the best types of units in the game, as I've said, and they are awesome. And I think I have someone who wanted to be a leper. Let me see. No, Behemoth was cool with being a leper, but I made him a flagellant, which I think is cool. So let me know if you want to claim our leper character. They are some of my favorite. I was thinking about naming myself as a leper character. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing that I identify as a leper. But let's see, some of the items here. Plus 20% prot and move resistance is nice. I feel like they've buffed some of these green and basic items. That'll go on our Hellion. And do we have anyone who really needs stress relief before we leave for today? Boss at night, not so much. It's nice to have more than one healer because we can just switch between them and give them breaks. And there are other healer classes in the game. There's an occultist who also heals. And whenever we unlock that person or that hero, we'll be able to switch them out. The next upgrade that I really want to get is this one here. But we're going to need a lot of deeds, and we're going to need more crests. Crests aren't a problem, but we need to prioritize deeds if we're going to unlock them. And the best way to get deeds is to look and see which places are offering deeds. So the Weald has some deeds on offer. Plus 10 dodge on Antiquarian. They get the best items. All of their items are just like strict upside. So we can either go back to the Weald, back to the ruins. But that's going to be it for today's episode. This has been a pretty long one. And tomorrow I think we're going to head into the Cove. And probably also into the Warrens. We'll try both of these out. You'll see here that we're kind of leveling up these dungeons. And as we do that, we'll start having access more and more to the bosses. So the more you do a dungeon, a particular area, the more you have access to the later game content in those areas. So if you're wondering what these numbers mean, that's what it is. So we'll take everyone out of our party, and we'll look forward to tomorrow doing a new party. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I wanted to do something, to start something new at the end of almost every episode I think that I do on the channel. It's something fun. My daughter told me, she's like, Daddy, if you want subscribers, you should tell a joke at the end of every single video. And people love jokes. You'll get more subscribers. And I thought that was an awesome idea. So she brought me her Knock Knock book. And at the end of every video, I'm going to do a joke. It's going to be stupid. It's going to be stupid. Hopefully it's funny though. And because my kids think they're hilarious. So here it goes, guys. Knock knock. Who's there? Who? Who? That's what an owl says. So there you go. That's your daily dose of funny. And look forward to that on all my videos at the very end as a way of me signing off. So guys, thank you for the huge support on this series. It'll get much more interesting as we get much more fast paced and as I don't have to kind of explain what's going on. And we'll just start running through these dungeons fast. We'll start taking on bosses, and yeah, I'll be able to sell things without talking about it. I'll be able to upgrade things without talking about it, and the pace will just pick up tremendously. And so look forward to that. Well, anyway, guys, that's it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, my name is Brett. My channel is Goodtalk Gaming, and as always, y'all, I will see you in the next one. Take care.